Hey, good. Tonight we look at this title, Reboot Change AI as your transformation and engine. Okay. Yeah. It's quite interesting, and we will look at the importance of people in change management. Of course, we understand that changes involve human, right? So we need to make sure that when we make changes, and sometimes the risk, then for overlooking the human dimension. So we need to make sure that everyone happy and they're comfortable with the changes. So we encounter the resistance from the employee, right? And of course, the sometimes we need to understand and support the employees, empower people during the changes environment, and of course, we this will improve the success. If you look at the change, the individual reaction to change, individual reaction to changes, right? So there's a lot of emotional response to changes, and sometimes it may be related to psychological transaction, and the transition. And of course, we understand that personal influence is very important. Sometimes it will affect the change. How about for our team, right? So yes, we need to work very closely together of the change by the group. So how about the team? Right. The leadership role is very important in the change management. Different style, it will affect the impact, right? So it's really is responsible for leader during the change. And the communication is very important. We always emphasize about transparency and motivation. We need to maintain high morale during the uncertainty because change sometimes bring a lot of uncertainty. What's the emotional reaction for change? Of course, at the start, they fear, because a lot of unknown factor, right? So people will be worrying, the concern about job security, and of course, they are not so sure what is the new role when the change have been made. Sometimes it turn out to be anger, frustration. Then in this case, the leadership is very important because they need to understand the perception of unnecessary shift. And of course, end of the day, we may have negative impact to organization. Leader may feel sadness and loss. They still prefer old way of working because they are more comfortable, right? So in this case, it's very important. We must address the emotional aspect. So what's the stages of personal transition, right? So when change apply to individual person, first, shock and denial will come in. After that, resistance, they will push back. Sometimes can be have anger. Then after I explain to them, they will start exploring what we call exploration. Look at then some of them will tentatively accept. They understand the importance of the change. They will commit. Eventually, they will be, is a good application for leaders also. So what kind of factor influence reaction to change? It depends on their past experience. Personal characteristic is very important, and what role they play during the change environment, right? And that is all go back into organizational culture. Sometimes we have very structured culture that may resist the top-down changes. So we need to be very careful. And of course, we always mention about communication. We need to be very clear, right, in terms of communication also, right? Yeah. And what kind of major point that we need to take note on that, right? So we need to look at the emotional, we call emotional behavior. That's important, critical also. Then also the change is a process. Remember, change is not one-off event, right? So it's an ongoing processes. So a lot of process or a lot of processes involved as well. Then the change is a process and support employee through each stages. The personalization matter because sometimes it will based on individual differences. It's not everyone will follow the same path, right? So when we talk about high performance team, sometimes we are looking into managing high performance teams. They need to have clear purpose. Why? Because they understand why behind the changes. So first we must explain to the team, okay, to the staff that there's a reason behind that, right? And sometimes you need to be, we call frequent check-in and get feedback, ongoing feedback, and to be transparent, right? And the team sometimes They will be moving faster if they have an independent decision-making process, right? So sometimes we empower the decision-making. For example, Microsoft culture, this is a big transformation, change in the Microsoft culture. Changing from the know it all, they know everything, but of course with the internet coming in, a lot of things changes. So now they need to change into learn it all culture, right? So they even Microsoft advance in the technology, they need to learn. Encouraging a lot of experiment, right? We call it experimental failure iteration also. So the leadership via management in changes, right? So what is the differences between leadership and management? Leadership is the one that the leader driving the whole organization. Management is managing maybe a middle management. They are, they involve in the change. So the management focus on task completion, right? So that is where the middle management need to make sure that everything is completed during the changes. The leadership provide vision and emotional support. Vision is very important, right? So the dream, after the changes, what is our dream, right? We having the same dream, or we're going to have a new dream for new environment. So for example, right, a manager ensure new software install on the schedule. The leader explain the benefit, why we need to have the software, right? Why one of the reasons, maybe a work-life balance, so that we can automate certain process. So the leader is changed, it depends on the style, the leadership style. If the style is under transformational, somewhere Elon Musk is very much on vision driven, but they take high risk innovation, right? In this case, the best for inspiring large scale culture shift. The risk is over resilient on the particular leader, right? Servant leadership. Servant leadership basically they're high trust employee, and they will have a central change. Perceived as a weak sometimes because the leader is not really very dominant the whole environment, right? It's more for listening the crowd, the team. So sometimes you may perceive as a weak, right? But of course, it's sometimes very effective in certain situation. This situational leadership, okay, they will adapt into team lead dynamically. Inconsistent, okay, if we use too frequent, right? What are the key leadership responsibility? Just how we mentioned that we need to explain why we change the vision setting. Then through the whole process, we need to build a trust among your team, decision making, right? Balance, we must balance between the speed and of course, end of the day, the role model. The leader must demonstrate, what is the behavior, the role during the changes. So a few key points that we need to take note. The leadership is not about people, right? So it's a focus on individual, not just strategy. Adapt your style. Sometimes you may need to be flexible. And of course, trust is very, very important during the changes. So the critical role of communication change is very important in the change management. Because effective communication is crucial for success change. Right? We understand that poor management actually can cause a big problem. The function of communication during changes, reduce uncertainty, of course, increase the trust, and we need to be aligned, right? After a change, we want to meet a certain goal, right? We don't want to, after change, it turn out to be another result, right? So the goal is very important. Alignment is critical. So strategy for effective change communication, there's a few ways. One is called three multiplied by 5 rule. People need to hear a message 3 to 5 times, actually. No matter whether you say, oh, I'm a very good listener, right? Sometimes you need to repeat 3 to 5 times and people will start taking it. Okay, and sometimes you may need to have a two-way dialogue. The top type announcement, not only that, not is insufficient. And sometimes you need to create opportunity for question and answer, right? Be careful of all these scenario, right? Message framing. It will impact the impact of information presentation, right? Yeah. So because the way you present, it will really affect the reception, how people listen to you, right? The way you present. Sometimes loss framing, you say that something like, if we don't do it, we have risk, we are going to close down, something like that, right? So that is more for loss framing. You scare people on that. Gain framing is like, okay, this change is very good. It will allow us to be able to meet, no, to grow into a second peak. Work for inspiration changes. Sometimes it's a mix, right? Sometimes you need to be, talking about difficulty. At the same time, you need to have a lot of positive inspiration statement. So communication for changes, there's a few tools that we can use, right? Yeah. So then of course, sometimes we can combine the digital tools with the in-person discussion, right? A company like Cisco, they always use both. These are all the tools that you may want to explore, right? So sometimes we need to build effective changes narrative. The first one is the burning platform necessary to change, right? So you mean that if you don't change, you're going to have our business, right? So it's called a burning platform, right? So it's no other choice. You just need to do it, right? Then the journey, you have a path to follow. The other one is the destination. So you're very clear about the goal and you follow the destination, right? The role, that is depends on the independent individual contribution also. Right. Lego have done a very good job in transformation. It's why Lego last time is a very old-fashioned toy, right? But Lego now have transformed into a really modern business model. Yes, there's some communication issue that need to be take note on that. So this is a black hole effect. Alarm changes, then go silence, right? So after you talk about that, then just everyone keep quiet, right? So that's called black hole effect. The jargon overload, it means that they're using too much of the technical terms. Most of the people cannot understand. One size fit all, they thought that is one single message you can address everyone. No, that's not true. And sometimes, you don't have too good news, right? So people say, hey, this again, is a fabricate news. That is not true. Everything is good, right? So sometimes it would, destroy the credibility as well. And we need to focus on the changes, right? And again, just mention to you again is that sometimes you need to have the effective changes communication are 3.5 times more likely to outperform the peer. So it's important, right? If you change, sometimes you will do better compared with your competitors. Intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, right? Intrinsic come from internal drive. People really want to change. And extrinsic is more for reward, right? Why you change? Because you got bonus, you got promotion, and sometimes you may need to combine both, right? Yeah, so cannot be too much on intrinsic without reward, and also cannot be too extrinsic. And sometimes we need to be understand certain theory. For example, we call Herzberg two-factor theory. Is basically talking about hygiene factor. Hygiene factor, it means something you cannot ignore. It may not be very important, but you cannot ignore, right? So for example, like salary, job security, working condition, okay? You cannot ignore, right? And in fact, people take it for granted. Then of course, you have another factor like motivation, right? So you have achievement, recognition, and growth of your own personal growth and the same career growth, right? So we need to understand that there's a two factor we need to consider. Okay, we cannot say, oh, okay, you got salary increment, that's it. No, it's more for hygiene. People take it for granted. How can we keep the moral high during the changes? Sometimes it's the progress principle. You may want to focus on small win, boost the motivation rather than the distinct goal, right? Yeah. So sometimes those little praise, a little encouragement is very useful, right? So how can we measure our distance, right? So long way is that the quick win is about 30 days, middle terms milestone is 90 days, long-term goal achievement is about 1 year, right? So there's give you some guideline, okay, during the whole process. The role of leadership in motivation, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, you need to participate in training among the team. Okay, you need to be part of it, not just train people. You should take part of it. Okay, empathy, very important. Understand the difficulty in your staff. You may be consistent when you the word that you communicate must be consistent, not to confuse people. Be available, concern. Make sure that you are available if anything happen. And of course, sometimes we need to be understand that it changes. Sometimes you may have a new team of a manager, right? So sometimes impact on a manager is very important. if we want to ask ourselves why it's so difficult to change, right? What's your root cause of resistance? And in fact, there's a few if we list down why people worry about the changes, there's a certain reason here we can look at that. For example, right, fear of incompetence. Now I'm doing very well, and after change, I may not be doing well again. Okay, so I won't be good at this or the new thing, right? Loss of control, poor timing. Now I'm very busy. Everyone is really have hard time. Then you change, and people will think that, oh, this is not a good time to change, right? Lack of trust. Um, People, your staff say, yeah, the manager or the team management, the boss don't care. Okay, don't care about us, and sometimes it hurt because of conflicting the confusing, right? Conflicting the goal. So in this case, how can we solve the issue, right? How can we solve this resistant situation? And sometimes active resistance, your team is really voiced out, right? It's very voiced out. So it's will be very careful when you do a problem solving. And sometimes if they don't voice out, very quiet, right? It's a passive resistance. Sometimes it's called constructive assistance, thoughtful critic that improve the change. That's good, right? So we don't want them to be keep silent. Ask them to have constructive feedback. Pro tip, it means that sometimes you may change acceptance curve CAC model, which will help identify where individuals are in their resistance journey. So sometimes we need to know what stages we are in, right? Yeah. So in this case, there's a 5 strategy that we can use. Number one is the engagement. So engage them first before you announce, because sometimes you feel that they announce too late. They will feel good that you consult them first before you announce the changes. Empathy mapping, conduct what in the shoe, right? Think about on the shoe, right? Analyze what they hear, they feel, they say, and they do. And this is a we call a 4P framework. Address first purpose, the reason of changes, and give them some story, the picture that they can visualize. Then you plan, and then you start, right? Yeah. So also explain to them why change matter. And of course, you need to have good influence. And of course, don't halfway cut off, right? You need to make sure that it's a continuous, okay, sustainable development. Why resistance is useful? But sometimes as a manager, entrepreneurs, it's all right, resistance is all right. Why benefit of resistance the team when you do changes? A team with good resistance make better decision. It means that every action you think very carefully, and that's good, right? Because you those service level compliant from the high level service level say, hey, very good idea, but actually at the heart they are not happy, right? So then in this case, it will mask the deeper issue. The issue will still come up, right? The key insight distinct between the productive and destructive pushback, right? So sometimes it's not negative, it's not destructive, it's really productive. So you must understand what type. Okay, it's distinguished between them. Final thought of people-centric before you do a changes, right? Remember, involving employee activities, right? So put that as an active participants during the change environment. Create psychological safety, encourage experimental. This is experiment now. Don't worry too much. Even we make mistake, is all right, right? So encourage this experimental process. Competitive advantage. So in this case, you master people-centric. Okay, change as a competitive age. And of course, must be
Pantas aku datang membawakan air untuk Nabi.
okay, yeah. So it must be sustainable and
membawakan air.
Okay, yeah.
Dan lalu Nabi langsung berwudu. Airnya digunakan untuk berwudu langsung.
Okay, yeah. Right. Okay, thank you. Okay, so if you have a background noise, please just help us to mute it. So final thought of people-centric, right? So involved in employee activities. And of course, just how we mentioned about sustainable changes as well. So after we look at the human, the people, right? The other change we need to look into is the processes. So processes in change management. There is a couple of proven model where we make changes on the whole process, the steps, right? So we will look at that separately. Why process matter? Why process important during the change? It will reduce the uncertainty because it gives us a clear step to follow, right? We as a human, sometimes it's good to follow, especially in this uncertainty environment. Ensure alignment, as I mentioned, mitigate the risk. We understand there's a sure they got risk coming up, right? So we try to minimize it. And systematic planning avoids issue, definitely. Enable scalability, right? Because imagine that you're a big organization, you have 10 over staff, in a worldwide international level, and you may want to roll, or you may not want to roll off all the changes at one go, right? So you want to do it part by part. This part successful, do a second part, okay, you scale up, okay, to your enterprise structure. And why we prefer, or sometimes we need to apply the process rather than ad hoc change management. If you look at the structured process, it will define very clear about the phases, and also we will look at the milestone. Ad hoc is very reactive, very impulsive, right? So in this case, it's not easy. I think if we can see currently in American situation, right, it's very ad hoc, right? So people will not know what changes. They have a lot of changes, but what's the reason behind, right? So okay, yeah. So then of course, you need to make sure that you define, have very clear accountability. So accountability is very critical. Why? Because if you do it ad hoc, you will have unclear ownership. So when people are not sure about their ownership, they will confuse, right? Yeah. So we need to be very careful, and also the measurable outcome, very clear. Everyone can measure, right? Yeah. So that will give a lot of people comfortability during these changes. And scalability, right? Yeah, ad hoc is very silo, right? It's only independent or isolated environment changes. Then the rest, it doesn't gel together. So end up is really, really messy. So you need to have overall plan where you want to make the changes. What are the key components for effective change process? And we heard about the SWOT model, right? The SWOT, the force field analysis, and also sometimes for the government, there is steering committee and RACI matrix. And you can also apply various toolkits like template, playbook, and digital platform as well. So what's the change readiness assessment? That is good. It's kind of survey. You survey the staff before you start, right? You look at the cultural, whether they are ready to change. And do you implement certain training, right? You can do a focus group, put them together before you do a change. So you see whether there's a change readiness there. You can have an operational capacity because during the changes, you may have a relocation of your resources, right? The skill and the leadership, very important. You need to get all the stakeholders to agree or change. Otherwise, they caught them by surprise. What's a SMART goal? A SMART is one of the tools method for change. A SMART must be very specific in your change. What are you going to change? Are you going to change the whole company or only the certain department, right? Specific. And must be measurable, right? Can be measured. So that you can using statistic or KPI to measure the result. Achievable, it cannot be too high, unachievable, unrealistic goal, right? So must be relevant to your business, relevant to your team. And you must set up a very clear time frame, right? So what kind of, you can start with pilot, start with department changes. In end of the day, you roll out for the entire company. And the other side, you need to take note of your risk. So risk management is very important also. And at the same time, when you make changes in your organization, develop a communication and training plan, right? Yeah. So then you segment all the audience together, and you set up all the proper learning modules, whether it's e-learning or physical training, right? So that if any problem, you can always have support them by having appropriate training. For the governance and decision-making structure, so the high level, the board level must be make sure that they evaluate properly, right? Yeah, and clarify responsibility, accountability, and consultants, and also inform role. Sometimes we call RACI. We have this ADK AR, right? ACAR. So A for awareness, understanding the reason behind the change. First step. Second, identify what is the personal benefit to your team. Why change? There's no point to change for nothing, isn't it? Right? Or change for negative impact. So in this case, explain to them, okay, identify personal benefit. Knowledge, providing training and skill building opportunity. Okay, that's good for them, right? Knowledge also is important, either knowledge transfer or knowledge acquisition. Ability, A for ability, hands-on practice to develop competency. During the changes, actually, you learn a lot. So it happen that in future, you are promoted or you change, even you change your other organization, all the changes is relevant experience. Okay, it's part of your upgrade skill. Reinforcement, implement the recognition system to sustain the change. You have recognition system so everyone take part of it. They done a great job, right? So all must be recorded down. Agile changes management, because we understand the world is changing very fast, right? So we call changes is not one off, it's ongoing. So the sprint of this is the sprint is normally is about 2 to 4 week cycle, right? So you got the sprint meeting, and for the daily they will quick process check. Okay, normally it's about even 20 minutes, less than 1 hour, right? So then of course you need to have what ongoing improvement. It cannot be just one stage, okay, after that, because agile is all talking about ongoing improvement. And workout tools we can use using Jira. If you go to internet type Jira, right, you can download the software. It's very useful. Many organizations using Jira. Okay, at the same time, Trino also. Sometimes we need to overcome execution challenge when we implement the changes, right? And we need to be controlled, because you may have a lot of different versions, right? So you need to have strict change control process, and also prioritize, apply strategy, and of course, end of the day must collect the data. In fact, based on a kind of feedback, 70% of changes effort actually failed due to the poor execution. So you really need to have good execution plan, okay, where you do changes. Yes, KPI is again very useful in the changes. You can look at the adaptation rate, productivity, cultural, and business aspect, right? So here is some of the examples that we can use for KPI. Feedback is critical. So we build not a feedback, we call feedback loop. Okay, it's a ongoing iterative process. So you can have a short or frequent sentiment check. See, hey, everything okay? No? Are you all right? Short one, don't waste the time, and but must be very frequent. User analytic, you using system to collect the data, right? And sometimes you may have a call up a focus group to have a very deep dive or all the pain point. Then later we talk about AI, how AI can help. The PDCA is very important. Plan, do, check is measure result. Okay, compare with the expectation. And standardize it is good practice, carry on. If no, go back and we look for explore the new technique again. Culture is important, because to be able to build a change-ready future, the culture for organization is very important. Culture, sometimes we are looking into different factors. For example, we look at the fix and grow mindset. Okay, when you're talking to a team, sometimes you need to encourage. We have growth mindset. A fixed mindset is really resistant to change, very stagnant, very difficult to change, very stubborn, right? So that is called fixed mindset. A growth mindset is embrace continuous learning. So they know that they need to keep learning, right? So they always want the mind, okay, must have a growth capability. So can grow, it's called growth mindset, ongoing improvement. We also can segment between the company into open mindset growth and closed mindset growth, right? Open mindset is encouraging share of idea. That's very important. Don't keep the idea, right? A lot of people say that, say, yeah, Eastern culture and Western is a very different Some people even argue that Western is very open mindset and Asia is a bit closed mindset. Of course, as when the technology advancement and globalization, right? It's very, it's hard to classify whether which side is have a growth mindset. In fact, we can see that Asian is very, very much on the open mindset nowadays. The other one is resilient mindset. The foster the psychological safety allowed the growth of facing this uncertainty well without fear of failure, right? So brave enough. That is very important. Move forward, right? Don't be scared. Of course, sometimes we need to be take risk. We have a good risk management. The organization value is very important. So we need to be transparent and honest so that they understand that the management is not doing something behind, right? Collaboration, innovation, creativity, and end of the day, any changes, we must have ownership. Who involved, in charge on that particular changes and responsible, okay? The responsibility is important. In organizational environment is critical, and as I mentioned that the leadership style must be right. Transformational leader is inspire changes, and they really and desire behavior, and then they really empower the employees. So the leadership, the transformational leadership sometimes help a lot. For example, you can see many organizations with the transformational leader, right? Entrepreneurs, actually, they are able to change very fast. Communication, just like we mentioned, and sometimes we need to meet them physically. Of course, not every time, so we can have technology offline, online meeting, and also we need to acquire latest technology. Make a very clear vision and purpose during the change, and we mentioned many times. And explain to them why, right? Why the change, and how does this change related or link to the purpose. And they integrate the changes into a core value. That is very powerful, very smart way of doing it. So where basically it's part of the culture, part of the vision of value the company is keep changing. Okay, is to embrace or promote innovation. So sometimes company embrace that into the core value. It's not when the change come in, say, hey, no, now we need to have change. No. From the very beginning, the start join, when you start the company, you already mentioned that the value is promote innovation and we are not afraid of changes. Right. Sometimes we define a change-ready culture. So how can we be very clear and cultivate this change culture, right? They are all the summarized that we have mentioned just now, right? Yeah. Alignment is important again, right? So every changes must support the overall business goal. So finally, now we look at, okay, fine, how AI enhance the change management. This is one of the important part of today. We understand that the need for effective change management, right? So it's a constant changing in the business environment. We understand that, right? We cannot just we saw a lot of successful company because they did not keep up to change. End of the day they're down, right? They disappear from the business environment. So to be specific, is because of technology advancement, you need change, the market dynamic change, the customer expectation change. At the same time, the global economy is frustration, right? This fluctuation may be go up and down, right? So all these things will affect the company and community change. The role of AI in changing, right? So the AI we call transformative force. It gives us a very powerful tools, and we can use it to managing or implement our changes. The changes of the change manager also have a history. The traditional approach is a three-stage approach. It's very famous when you study the traditional concept in change management. They will say unfreeze, okay, unfreeze, and change and refreeze, right? So this is a very famous model. So in this case, then they will start with looking in the action system and open it up, change. After that, if everything okay, then keep it, right? So that's a traditional model. They sometimes we call is a fundamental understanding of organization changes. Then after that have a more sophisticated model, right? Yeah, and then of course then later develop a predictive we call characteristic or conventional method and what kind of challenge or opportunity give us during this technology time. Then the distinctive characteristic of digital era nowadays, it increased the complexity, right? Yeah, so there's a lot of ecosystem of technology came up. We need to managing the stakeholder and the regulatory framework, especially when we go to a global market, right? So there's different culture, different countries, they all have different scenario. And we understand that it's a huge data being developed, right? So it's abundant of data. So how can we make use of it and then we can able to harness and transform the organization of the digital workforce now, technology interdependence, and of course, right now we are in a fast-paced, accelerated pace. So all these characteristics, force company must change to meet the environment. And of course, the increasing frequency of changes, it may not be good, right? It's too much changes and your staff cannot focus. Okay, so we need to plan properly on the changes. And sometimes, too much of the changes also will reduce the engagement among the staff. And it will increase the resistance to change, right? So be very careful when you implement a change project. It's quite complicated, in fact, because this complexity management, it depends on the interdependence in the transformation. Okay, yeah. So, but the technology of process, organization structure, and culture, all is interrelated, interconnected, right? So you cannot do the process changing without changing the technology. And you cannot change the culture without the making necessary change in the organization structure. So they're all interrelated, right? It's quite complicated. Scalability issue is difficult to implement changes across the big organization. But never mind, do it part by part, right? Scalable. And measurement difficulty, and sometimes we need to establish a very clear parameters and matrix. How about the knowledge, right? So because even the top manager, the entrepreneurs may not involve in such changes. So where you got the knowledge, right? It's why may need to do a lot of learning, studying, and at the same time even get expert to help. The digital imperative in changing management. You need to think about whether you're going for agile, okay, agility and adaptability. In this model, is very flexible, right? Very flexible. So you see the issue come out and then you solve weekly, right? So that's called agile model. It's very flexible. But again, a lot of iteration also. Okay, a lot of time to go back and make changes, make the refine of the process. The other approach is we can base on data. Because during the changes, remember to collect the data. It's very important, right? So it's informed by comprehensive data analysis, and personality at the scale, and tailor communication and training for different type of staff. Hope that we can able to cultivate a continuous training and with the best advanced technology integrated in the company. How can we define the relationship among the AI and the organization, our human, right? See AI as an enabler for change management. Because AI can provide a lot of tools for us. AI is not forcing us to change, right? Yeah, but AI see that as a tool, as an enabler. Also, AI can help to implement organizational changes. And they can able to represent the significant changes, and you can do a lot of simulation. So this is how we can use AI as an enabler. Embrace the data analytics, personalize change experience. So you can use AI to monitor where is a skill gap, right, between a particular staff, right? So you can do a personalized training for them. You can provide the insight because you are tracking things on the real time. So you can give you the real time insight and facilitate the knowledge management. Because training during the change management, a lot of new knowledge and old knowledge need to be facilitated. So AI implement as a change challenge, and of course we know that the staff may worry that is going to have a retrenchment, job displacement, right? Certain skill will be obsolete. Then also the many staff worry that the process will be designed and some changes in the job nature. The cultural adaptation is very important. We need a data-driven mindset, build a trust with the AI. Okay, yeah. So to develop the traditional change management, they treat transformation as a discrete project. It's a one-off project. That's the old traditional change management method. But now with AI, it enable continuous changing. So it will, we are able to monitor. So AI can help us to keep monitoring the organization dynamic. Then when necessary, they will implement changes. Okay, not in big pace, as it be step by step. And they will do a proactive recommendation before we start the training. And of course, the learning will be able to, learning system will refine the change approach. So from a reactive to predictive approach, that is how AI can help us. Traditional is reactive. When problem come in, then we change. But with the AI, based on predictive ability, so the AI will monitor the organization, then they say, certain resistance, right? Time, we need to make changes. They will do some forecast across the organizational segment. So they will look at the organizational and see where should start, okay? Where's the beginning of the process? And they can also predict resources because during the changes, you may need acquire new resources and certain old resources will be abundant, right? So then in this case, then you need to predict resources requirement. So from the standardized to personalized experience, traditional is they will standardize communication process, but with AI, good news, right? We can have personalization to individual staff. So individual adoption journey mapping, right? So they were able to personalize the learning path for everyone. They also can target specific communication. So in this case, we can able to move during change. We're moving from an intuition-based to evidence-driven base, right? So in the old time, when you make the changes management, is very on the leader's feeling, intuition, experience. It's very human dependent. So if we find a good leader, yeah, the change may be successful. Otherwise, it may almost guarantee fail, right? So this AI facilitate the evidence base. So they will look at the data analysis from different organization system, and they will look at the pattern across all the historical data. Then they will do a testing before it implement, right? Yeah. So then in this case, also they can able to measure the tangible and intangible outcome. So from the central to the decentralized change management, this also consider, for example, many organizations want to implement decentralized, right? Last week we were talking about the DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, right? So traditional change management is direct from central team. So it's one team involved or the top management involved in the change management. But with the AI, good news, you can decentralize across the change related data and insight. So you can distribute all the information and let individual department, business unit to make changes. And the AI also can help you to empower local leaders with the decision support tools. So this is why this human and AI collaboration is very useful, very important, right? So it will combine AI analytic power with human emotional intelligence. So at this moment of time, our human EI, right, emotional control is still better, right? So we can able to talk to staff based on human communication rather than using AI, right? And also human is more creative at this moment of time, and so more ethical. So in this case, it will have a very powerful combination when we partner together, AI together in the changes. We can also integrate the technology stack. For example, AI will be able to implement a lot of AI applications, right, across the change management, including the data sharing, the consistent analysis and coordination, coordinated interventions. And AI is not as good as human in terms of the ethical aspect. The capability development, continuous improvement of the technology, the AI skill is critical in your company. That's why we have this BIS, Business Artificial Intelligence System program. And we have this continuous feedback mechanism, right? So we may have problem as human to keep collecting data, but leave the AI to do it, right? Because AI model is very good in collecting the feedback, the result, and able to make changes, management approach. Don't forget about AI is very good in learning, right? We call machine learning. So change impact prediction. So we can do simulation before we really implement. We can simulate the environment, right? Yeah, and then we do forecast. Once we predict, and also we can predict the adoption rate, whether these changes will be successful, right? Sometimes AI can do some prediction, and also we are able to get the information result earlier. So natural language processing for change communication, we all communicate with AI, right? With all the GPT, DeepSeek, and the chatbots, right? So in this case, actually we can implement that. So come up with a platform to let the staff, even the manager, even the entrepreneurs to communicate, right? So we can do a sentiment analysis and feedback. It's a real time. So anything they are not happy, they just fit in, and we can do the emotional theme identification. And we can use it for the personalized communication optimization, because the language optimization is very important, right? Especially you are in the international or global environment, right? So you have a lot of the different market in different countries, a different language, right? So using this, it will be perfect for you to communicate with your team. So your chatbot version assistant will be critical. And remember to build your knowledge-based system, right? Because all this information during the changes will be very useful for the future project. The computer vision and AR, okay, so augmented reality, right? Why? Because visual process sometimes or with workflow pattern recognition from the video footage. So you may cut down the whole process. So using the computer vision to analyze, rather than you go down, send the manager down to observe, right? Sometimes you just videotape it and using the video computer vision to do analysis. And as I mentioned, the interactive simulation will be very useful. For example, say, hey, look, we're going to redesign the factory. The whole factory layout all will change. So in fact, we do it, then you have asked them to, wear a VR gear set, and then from them, then you can simulate the environment, right? Even simulate the process. That's very good. We can use it before we start the change project. The robotic, we call RPA, right? The robotic process automation. That is very important because that can be, able to transition support. Sometimes we get able to compare with the old system and new system. For example, you implement a new system, and what happened to old system? All the data you need to transfer over, right? And you may not able to build a migration tools, so you need to do a lot of manual migration. So in this case, this RPA, the robotic process automation is very useful. It can help in the change administration automation, automate tracking of the training, competition, and certification. And also, so instead of having someone hired just for this training, the train management or change project, then you have this AI to automate certain tasks. Conversational AI and chatbot, just as we mentioned, then in this case, you will have a 24 hours chatbot to support the changes, training with enforcement, and also monitoring the whole process. The predictive analytic and decision support, also very important. We can able to have the scenario planning and simulation. A multiple variable simulation is very good, okay, to implement the approach. And we also can look at the critical success factor. What is the most important criteria? We can do this sensitivity analysis. And the change portfolio optimization. So what they do is that they will do a change saturation analysis across the unit, because sometimes our resources we need to allocate properly. We call resource allocation optimization during the whole changes. So that is the ideal case. AI will help we do a lot of planning as well. Then we assess organization. We can also make use of AI. For example, we call data readiness assessment, technical infrastructure evaluation, and also capability culture assessment. All these things, actually, AI will help us to communicate with your staff and craft out the proper structure. We mentioned about the alignment, right? So AI application will help us to monitor and align our organizational objective. define clearly about AI value proposition to support the goal. We need to do it, okay? Because AI may not able to do it, right? So, but when you set it up, the whole AI will be able to integrate with the whole company and give you a very good digital transformation process. You may need to consider to build your technical foundation, right? Because during the changes, sometimes you may need to have AI support people. This is why a lot of jobs have moved from traditional worker into AI enabled worker, right? What normally they do is they will do a data architecture level. They will integrate the data model, data collection and preparation. End of the day, they will give you a lot of guidelines. Then the technology selection and integration. So something that we need to make ourselves, and sometimes you don't do it, we buy it, right? And what kind of vendor? Well, we need to look at the supplier when we do the evaluation process. So this is the implementation roadmap pilot. We will do a pilot testing. Once it's successful, we will do a scaling, the scale deployment, and finally everything done. We still need to do improvement. So take note of the human capability, right? In the whole process, change partition upskilling. We need to change our staff. For example, they need to understand more about the AI technologies. They need to know how to interpret it, read the data, read the AI. And of course, they need to hands-on experience of the AI application, and they understand the ethics. As a leader, you need to understand the AI impact for the whole entire change management. What kind of decision-making process or tools that you can use. And sometimes, prepare the sponsor for the AI enhanced initiative, because you need resources, you need to have new people, right? And new skill set. So as a leader, you need to have all this resource ready. Then sometime we may able to engage a new expert. For example, change data scientist is a new role. Change data science combine changes management and analytics. So basically, they understand the change management strategy. At the same time, they are very good in reading the data, right? So they combine the skill set. So become a change data scientist. They address resistance and AI. Yes, we understand that because most of the people not very familiar with AI. So they worry about the AI, especially AI involved in changing. They suspect the data quality and algorithm, right? Some of people, they don't really believe of the outcome of AI. They also concerned with the privacy and sometimes they want to keep silence and don't want to keep information, right? So they want to maintain as a autonomy concern. The ethical framework for AI, we did mention that because the stakeholders should understand AI influence on the changes. We want to keep the whole process. We want to highlight the importance of transparency and explainability principle. Respect individual right, and also make sure that you have consent model for data. When you collect data, you need to have proper regulation. When we manage a human impact for AI, then the role involved in evolution management. AI actually transform the change professional worker. So we need to have a new role, and we also need to build the trust. We understand that today the digital divide is quite big, especially the AI divide, right? So a lot of people really don't like AI, and some people really love it. So this is a very big divided area. The measurement approach is a big change from the lagging indicator, right, to the leading indicator. So all this AI actually give us a very good predictive information. Okay. Then also from the period from last time, is a once for a while, one for 3 month quarter you measure, right? Now no, good news. It's an ongoing, continuous real-time measurement. So this is excellent. And of course, we need to have a proper framework. This is a comprehensive measurement framework. Then if you look at the change outcome matrix, right? So they will look at the different indicator, the adaptation rate analysis, and business impact, and of course, they will look at the organizational health. Compared with traditional model, right? The balance scorecard, they will just look at the different category and they will put in different measurements. So that is the spelling scorecard model. AI will be very effective because we are able to predict, we will give a prediction accuracy matrix. And also you will be able to intervention target precision, especially for resource control. It's very important for us to have this improvement indicator, so we know that which part we need to keep improving, which part we are going to problem, right? So this is an indicator. Some type question is very important. So we need to make sure that question drive curiosity and exploration. So encourage your team to ask questions. So when we implement the process matrix, the AI adoption matrix is very useful because it will provide tools and the practitioner, the confident in the AI generate the outcome. Integration is the integration indicator, right? So percentage of intervention informed by AI, and this alignment is important also. And sometimes we call capability development measurement. So we see that what is the capability for different organization. So this is the final one. Is the ROI calculation for AI in change management. We need to ensure that the investment in the change management is useful, right? Because sometimes you need money, you need the resources, a lot of new stuff. Then how can we measure? So we look at the direct value calculation. That can be measured by accelerated benefit that the company achieve, improve the success rate, and also the resource optimization. Right? The true indirect value assessment, so we look at the change capability, right? Whether the company is capable to change if things happen again, the crisis coming again, right? So then of course we need to look at the employee, measure their experience improvement, right? First time change may have problem, right? So but after that they're getting better. Also we can avoid the risk, we call risk mitigation. And of course, end of the day, we need to set a budget, right? So because technology, you need to have an investment, also capability development costs, and also you need to acquire a lot of a new AI structure for your organization also. Okay, yep. So that's all. That is what we have presented in this session. From today onward, right? So this session onward, because we have a lot of inquiry also from another part of the world, the Mandarin speaking, right? So after that, then every Monday we have two sessions. One session is in the English. I will present. The other session is from my another expert Chance, and he will be present to all of you, which you may be interested, and also in the Mandarin session also. With the AI, for those you are not very familiar with Mandarin, and you can always also turn on your caption, right? Yeah, and of course, vice versa. And for those you are not very familiar with English, and just now you should have turn on your translation subtitle also. Okay, yeah, okay. So now I pass the Chance. Okay, Chance. Okay, thank you.